very quiet, obviously, for the last couple of weeks. I haven't been posting much. Some of that had to do with my personal life, but a lot of it had to do with a gag. I mean, I was literally told, hey, we got a big thing going on here. I'm paraphrasing. Hey, we got a big thing going on here. We don't want too many people to know about it. So watch what you say and watch what you post. I said, okay. And that's what I'll do. So that's the first time, by the way, that I was ever given that directive in that manner. I've been told to watch what I say on lives and maybe not hold a live, but I've never been told watch what you post. Telegram has always been something that I post to daily, that people get daily updates from. And it's never been watch what you do on there. You know what I mean? So that was a first. So I knew something big was coming. And it made total sense with the intel that I was given in weeks prior that said, hey, there's going to be a line of demarcation. There's going to be something very, very big that happens that forces military action. And that event is going to be Donald Trump getting sentenced to prison. And I think you really need to brace yourself for that happening, because I think his sentencing date is July 11th. If I saw right, I don't even know when it is. So don't quote me on that exact day. But on July 11th, or whenever his sentencing day is for these 34 felonies, you are going to hear that he got sentenced to jail, and you're going to panic. Well, you shouldn't panic, because you're here listening to me with your ears, right? You hear me? It's supposed to happen. We need him to be sentenced to jail. We can't go through this whole process, get him convicted of all these felonies, and then he just gets away with it, right? So what do you think is the actual plan here? He gets sentenced to jail and he goes to jail? And he runs for president from jail? Technically, you could do that. And if he wins, then what? He's still in jail? Does he pardon himself? What happens? So is that how it's going to go? He's going to get sentenced to jail, and he's going to go to jail, and what? Biden wins again? Or whoever the candidate is wins, because there's no Republican candidate? What happens then? That's not a pathway. Okay, so that's not going to happen. How about he doesn't get sentenced to jail? So what does he get sentenced to? House arrest? Probation? For 34 felonies? You know Al Capone, former gangster, big-time gangster? You know he only ever had 15 felonies? Trump has 34. So there's no way that these crimes don't carry jail time. They do. And he's going to get sentenced. Then what? That's the obvious question, right? What happens after he gets sentenced to jail? Well, you guys have been asking for it for years. You've been telling me to flip the switch, hit the button, pull the strings, go take over, whatever. You're going to hear the EBS. You're going to hear the EBS, and you're going to see the military stop this. How they're going to do it, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know what that next step is, but I do know that that's when all will be revealed. And I told you it has to happen sometime in the summer, because the November election is creeping up on us. You look down, it's June of 2024. The friggin' election is in 5 months. So there has to be something, an event that finally puts all of the actors on the stage, raises the curtain, no more bullshit. Here's what's been happening. EBS comes on. Trump makes an announcement revealing the Presidential Emergency Action Document, the PED, talks about the executive orders, talks about continuity of government, talks about devolution. There has to be a reveal. There has to be. So the question that has been on every single one of your minds, or at least should have been on every single one of your minds, is how? How do we get to that point? When do we get to that point? We've been waiting and waiting and waiting. You know how many messages I get? You know how many tags I get on Telegram? How many comments I get on Rumble? How many comments I get? We've been waiting, Phil. We've waited. We listen to you nonstop. You're our favorite truther. You're our number one. We hang on your every word. I appreciate that, guys, but I'm not in control of this. Understand that. I have someone that tells me that someone that does have access to those in control. Not that I don't have access, but he has better access. Nonetheless, someone that is closer to the situation feeds me intel. And I pass that intel along when I'm allowed to and when I'm told to. And if I'm restricted, I'm restricted. Regardless of that, I don't control when any of this happens. I can't come in and be like, okay, well, you know what? I'm taking over now. Because let me tell you something. I wouldn't have done it this way. This whole white hat plan where they take over, covertly, and they run the government, they run the United States, they run the world, they rid the cabal behind the scenes, kind of while no one's paying attention. It's happening under your nose, but you don't actually know that it's happening because this whole script is being played out in the mainstream media. Russia invades Ukraine, right? China lands. I just got an alert today that China landed on the far side of the moon. First time anyone's ever landed on the far side of the moon. For the love of God and everything holy. That's what we're talking about. So all of this distraction happening in the mainstream media, right? You had Biden's withdrawal of troops and the Taliban taking over, all the soldiers that died out there, all the equipment that was left out there, all of this stuff happening while the cabal is actually being taken down by the White Hats and by the Trump administration and by the alliance that has formed between the United States, China, and Russia. Those three world powers have become one and have combined their resources, combined their intelligence, and combined their hate for the cabal and their love for humanity and their love for the people into one force. And that's what Trump's capitulation tour was all about in 2017. That's when the alliance was formed. This stuff was happening way before the election fraud. And honestly, if the election fraud didn't happen and Trump and the White Hats didn't get forced to lose the White House, this would have been over years ago. We wouldn't be sitting here today talking about it. I could tell you that right now. We would have implemented NESARA. We would have had free energy. We would have had new humanitarian projects. Our world would be completely different than what it is right now, in a much better way. But there was no way to get there. That's why they had to do it this way. Do I like it? No. But do I know every single detail that they knew when they made the decision to do it this way? No. I don't. And I'm a little bit more competitive. I'm a little bit more passionate. I am constantly running before I'm walking, and I'm constantly running before I'm crawling. I don't do that shit. Like let's go. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to wait for this and wait for that. If I can get it now, I want it now. I don't want to wait. If it makes strategic sense to wait, then I'll consider it, but I still don't want to do it. So having somebody like me at those tables conversing with the White Hats, trying to tell them, screw that, let's just go anyway. That's not the greatest plan, honestly. So someone like me shouldn't be in charge of those decisions, or anybody that doesn't have the right mindset and the overall goal in mind, they shouldn't be making those decisions either.